Randy Weingarten, this all came from this clip. I saw this clip of Randy Weingarten. She's talking on somebody's podcast or something. She's the president of the American Federation of Teachers, and she was kind of lamenting this idea that the Department of Education is going to lose a bunch of funding, may even be shut down. And she was saying that this could lead to something horrible. And here's what she had to say about it. And Spike, you and I will get into it.
They're saying, oh, don't worry. Let's block grant it. So we'll give it to a state education department. Right. So, and then let the state education department decide what to do. So we know, for example, what Texas would do.
Right.
They'll use it for vouchers. So they won't give it to the kids who have it now. They'll just give it for vouchers.
Catholic schools, religious schools.
They'll give it to their parents, who then decide where they want their kids to be educated. So I think she sounds kind of silly here, because I think that sounds like a great idea. Vouchers for kids, follow the money. Money follows the kid. Go to the school you want to go to. Spike, I'm getting the sense, reading your face, because I'm pretty good at reading facial cues, and also laughing.
It's not the lightning bolt that comes out of my eyes? Is that helping you make?
Explain to me, genuinely explain to me why you think this is a bad idea.
Because I think that vouchers take money away from public schools. If you got a problem with public schools, I know many people do, and it's justified, then you fix the problem with public education. Part of this country is promised to its citizens is a free education to all citizens. That's been part of our mantra for raising a society, because the rising tide lifts all boats. A well-educated society benefits everybody in the society. If you want roads that were pothole-free, everybody should drive on these roads that are pothole-free, not just people who can afford to fix the potholes. Everybody should ride on those. And I think the same thing bears true with education. And when you leave it to the states, then you are leaving it to often gerrymandered, very ideologically driven state legislatures that have no problem leaving people they disagree with behind.
Did you find this with your kids in public school? Did they enjoy public school?
My kids had wonderful public school experiences.
Were they in public school for their entire school experience?
No, they weren't. My oldest went to a
Why is that?
My oldest went to a public school during the elementary years.
Okay.
And then we decided that it would be better for my kid, who was somewhat unfocused, to go to a more strict regimen that we could invest in, go to private school.
Private school.
And I had no problem making that investment as a parent. I made that choice for my kid.
Sure.
I understand a lot of people can't, and it would be nice to have the option. I see the benefits of both sides.
Okay.
But a public school...
You did for your kids? You thought it was beneficial?
My second kid started at a private school and then went to public schools. And that was a financial decision on our part, because, my career got undermined, and I was forced to put my kid into a public school
for a good chunk of time. For a younger kid, they had also a private education,
K through 8.
K through 8.
Yeah, for my youngest.
And that was the same with me. My parents sent me to a private school, K through 8, and then because I wanted to play sports in the public school, I know you can do that also if you don't attend public school. Sometimes if you're in the district, you can if you're like homeschool and stuff like that. But I transferred over and I went to public school, or secular school as we called it in my school. I went to public school for high school, so I had both experiences.
Did you have a positive public school experience?
I had both experiences.
Yeah, same with us.
Yeah,
we had great public education experiences.
However, I don't know why we have to limit the wonderful ability for parents to choose what's best for their kid, just like you guys did for yours. I mean, God blessed you with some money and you're able to use it like you wanted to.
Right.
I think it makes total sense for parents to be able to also make that decision. There's a lot of kids out there who come from poor homes that couldn't afford private school, who also deal with the same stuff you did with your older. You said you were maybe
lack
trouble
of
focusing.
Focus, you bet.
Like that.
We wanted less students, more teachers per kid.
So I think we're coming down on the same road here. It makes total sense to me that the money would follow the kid. Well, the Department of Education is also just a massively bloated bureaucracy. So much money.
Again, I'm with you there. It needs to be corrected, but not underfunded. I don't think underfunding is going to be the course correction. People will hope that it would be.
It's interesting.
By taking money, because when you're talking about vouchers, you're taking money directly from the coffers of what funds public education.
What's the most important thing that we do for kids? We educate them, right?
We educate them. I
mean, you parent them. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Even a kid in a bad school with good parents is going to have a good life, generally. But we do want to educate our kids the best we can, give them the best advantage in life.
We owe it to our society.
So let me ask you this. In our state, we don't have school vouchers. You either have to pay out of pocket, like my parents did for a portion of my education, like you chose to do for your own kids because you thought it was a better education for them individually. This is not this is not dogging public education. You just thought for your kids, this would be better for them. When is it best? Show me an industry that operates in a vacuum that's the best version that it can be. It doesn't happen. Competition is always a good thing.
Of course it is, yeah.
So wouldn't it stand to reason also, just the same way that we like to get the best coffee, we also want to get the best education? And parents who can't afford to send their kids to posh private schools, not offense, I'm not trying to paint you in this brush, but like you did with your kids,
I know it.
Why can't they also have that opportunity?
I'd love to find a way that they can. I'm with you.
School vouchers.
But that takes money from the private schools and the kids who aren't going to be able to get to. You don't want to empty private or empty public schools.
You also took money from private schools when you sent your kids to private school. I'm sorry, from public schools when you sent them to private, because schools are allotted a certain amount of money for every kid in the district who attends that school, right? So they're not going to get. So you made the decision to take money out of the public school system. And you instead put it into private.
I still paid my property tax.
No, you actually were double paying for school.
Yeah, I was.
Just as my parents did.
And I didn't mind doing that because I understand the value of a well-educated public. Here's the thing about the Department of Education that we're trying to eliminate it, which is Trump is trying to do.
Yeah.
It's been a stated mission. They're backtracking the last few days.
Sure.
Because they know that it's going to take 60 votes in Congress, in the Senate particularly.
And they very well may figure out how to do it. But
it's a tall order. But even if they do. The public education serves the periphery of students, the very, very low-income communities, which would not be able to sustain public education if money's coming from that to go to vouchers. It also special education, special needs students are all funded through from a federal level.
I understand.
Coast to coast,
I understand.
border to border.
Yeah.
I don't know that states.
Department of Education. No, it's not. You're going to say the states can't figure out how to do that on their own.
States have shown no track record of not leaving people behind
in public schools.
Yeah.
So why not allow them to go to these private schools?
Because they aren't left behind because of a federal mandate to care for the least among us.
But you just said that they're leaving kids behind, right?
When left to the states.
Okay, so you're saying that it would be better if we had more options for these kids, so if a parent realizes that one of their kids might be being left behind, they could say, hey, you know what? I have the power of competition. The money follows my kid. If you're not going to do right by them, I'm taking them to a private school where I guarantee they're going to get the education that I think they deserve.
Well, but you're assuming that all vouchers would be honored. Every parent who wants to get their kid into a private school could get their kid into a private school. That's not the case. Private schools decide who they let in, who they don't let in. And imagine now everybody has the voucher to try to go to private school.
Sure.
Right? And the least among us are not going to get allowed in.
Why?
Because they're going to have the lowest test scores. They're going to be the highest maintenance. They're going to need the most resources.
You don't think there's going to be one private school out there that a parent might find that fits their kid good that's not going to accept that kid?
Not enough seats. No, there's no way.
But those schools are growing leaps and bounds because they have more opportunities, because they have more kids who can now afford to go there.
They're for profit.
Private schools?
Yes.
What's the problem with that?
Because it doesn't cater to the least among us.
Totally disagree.
Well, that's why we do this.
Didn't your kid have a good experience in private school?
My kid wasn't the least among us. My kid didn't have special educational needs. My kid didn't need...
I had special education in my school, in my private school. That's not abnormal.
I agree, but
a lot of times that's the best place that these kids can get educated.
I think we don't take the guardrails off public education. We correct the problems with public education.
We have to come back to this. Let's come back to this. Good conversation. We'll be right back.